Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening to listening public, and welcome to another edition of On the Mark. I'm your host, Mark Brantley, and it is Wednesday, and on Wednesdays from 8 to 10, you are here with me, and I'm here with you to have a discussion about what's happening here on the island of Nevis and the wider Federation. I'm delighted tonight to be here, to be in good health, and to thank God for the strength to come here yet again on a Wednesday evening to spend some time with you, to hear your thoughts and get your views on a number of matters. So thank you very much for being here with me, and I certainly look forward to this conversation this evening. Let me start with very sad news that we have been informed of the passing of our former matron, Seneca Diaz. She was a wonderful, wonderful woman, a consummate professional. She had spent many decades in nursing, rose to the very top, where she was the head nurse, the matron at our Alexandra Hospital, and she would have passed away in the early hours of Monday morning. And I would want to extend my deep condolences to her family, her siblings, and all of her relatives that she leaves to mourn. The entire community of Cox, I know, would be in mourning, and I extend my deepest condolences to them all. While I'm on that vein, let me also extend deep condolences to the family of Buju Barrett, Brian Buju Barrett, known to many as just Buju. He had a very popular restaurant and local eatery in the heart of Charlestown, and he was a consummate professional, a chef who was always infectious with his laughter and his personality, and we were shocked to hear of his passing last week as well. And so I would want to extend to Didi and the entire family, all who are left to mourn, my deepest condolences, and to say to them that our prayers are with them, and that we are prayerful that the prayers of all of us will comfort them in this their time of bereavement. Death is so final, and yet it is something that we must all grapple with at some point. Our families must grapple with at some point. It is said that in the midst of life there is death, and from the moment that we are born we start to die. And so while it is something that we must all expect, truth be told, none of us is ever ready. And so we have lost two great divisions in Nurse Seneca Diaz, Matron Seneca Diaz, and our friend Buju, and we would want to extend condolences to their family and to let them know that our thoughts and prayers are with them, from all of us here at Von Radio and On the Mark. From that note of sadness, let me take the opportunity to wish a happy birthday to my brother Weber Herbert. He has been a long-time friend of mine, somebody that I can depend on, and he would have celebrated a birthday yesterday. There was a wonderful little get-together, if you will, just a small group, and I was very pleased to have been there and to have been able to say a few words for somebody who I think is a truly great division and a truly great man. He has done well. He has shepherded the ship of Von Radio for all of these decades and made it into an institution. And as I said then and I say now, he has also given me an opportunity by giving me a voice here, first on Let's Talk, and then in my own show, On the Mark. And On the Mark has been going now for over 15 years, so it gives you a sense of how long I've had a relationship with Von Radio and Weber Herbert. And so Weber, if you're listening, happy birthday, my brother. I pray you had a wonderful day yesterday. I know you were surrounded by people who care about you, and I am delighted that my good friend Rodney Elliott would have given me a ring and said, just come on over and say hello and be a part of this. And I was very happy to be there. Rodney, thank you as well. I know that this was your doing in putting this together, and so I think that this was a wonderful, just a gesture, a kind gesture to somebody who has really been a wonderful human being, a good friend, and a patriot all of these years. And so Weber, happy birthday, brother. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot happening, and I'm going to try to get through some of it as I get through this evening. Let me start by expressing my very, very warm congratulations to some new principals of our schools that have been elevated to leadership positions. We have young Catherine Wilkerson. She will take up the reins at the St. James Primary School. Young Chrislyn Jeffers, she will take up the reins at the VOJN Primary. Young Jerose Walters will take up the reins at the St. Thomas's Primary. And Nicola Paris will take up the reins of the Charleston Secondary School. Now, what I think is instructive is these are all women and they're all young people. Not one of them is over 40 years old. And I am delighted that as a government, we are seeing the value in elevating our women and also at the same time in elevating our youth. A lot of talk happens about women empowerment, about youth empowerment. I think moves like these, where we have elevated young people into senior leadership positions, tells us that this government is on the right track. All of these young ladies are fantastic. All of them are qualified. All of them have put in their time. And I'm really asking the schools, the staff, the public, the teachers to support them. Support them and help them to succeed. I believe that they have the enthusiasm, they have the training, and they can do a good job. And so to Catherine Wilkerson, Chrislyn Jeffers, Jerose Walters, and Nicola Paris, I say congratulations to you. You've been given an opportunity. You have been put in a position now where you can shape lives and shape the institutions that you now lead. And I wish you every success as you move forward. Again, I feel this is not just talk. This is action. These are positions where our young people, and more importantly our young females, are being elevated. Empowerment, we feel, is not just something we talk about, it is something that we do. And I believe that these moves speak for themselves. And so I will say no more on that other than to wish them well. Ladies and gentlemen, we will have the launch of the Daycare Assistance Program, the voucher program. You will recall that I came and I spoke about it and indicated that through social empowerment, our Ministry of Social Empowerment, under the leadership of the Honorable General Nisbet, that we will have launched the Daycare Assistance Program. This is a program designed to help parents that need help. And I emphasize that because it will be means tested. It means therefore that it's not available to everybody. It's available to those who need that assistance. It offers up to $300 per month per child, up to a maximum of 2 children at once, and that this will be paid directly to the daycare facility. So it will be a voucher program. We have partnered with the daycare facilities, have met with them, and so rather than the government competing with them by opening our own daycare center, we will have essentially those who are registered with this program benefit through vouchers that will go to the daycare centers directly. And so we hope to have that launch on September 7th. It will be at the Malcolm Gishard Recreational Park under the leadership of the Honorable General Nisbet and her team. So they will handle that, and I look forward very much to that. I have said repeatedly that this is a program that came from the community. In fact, it came from a meeting that we held in Hamilton, where we sat with persons in the community, and this young woman was very passionate about this need that she and other single mothers had, and we heard, we decided that we would take action, and I'm happy that it was one of the manifesto commitments that we made, and that we are able now to satisfy that commitment less than a year into our new term. So thank you very much for the confidence reposed in us, Hamilton. We are listening, and when we listen, we act. And so I'm happy that we've been able to bring some relief, and I trust and hope that this program will run smoothly and that the assistance will reach those that need it. Let me thank the UK parliamentary group that is currently here. I would have held some meetings in recent times in London with an MP, Minister of Parliament there, Daniel Kauzinski. He has been in the UK Parliament, the House of Commons, for some 19 years, and he is quite passionate about St. Kitts and Nevis and has formed what is referred to as an all-party parliamentary group for St. Kitts and Nevis. This is a group drawing members from both the Labour Party and from the Tories, from all sides of the aisle, which is designed to see how they can foster closer relations between the United Kingdom and its various partners around the world. I thought it a signal honor that a country the size of the UK, that parliamentarians there would be willing to travel to St. Kitts and Nevis to engage with us on a sort of familiarization visit, and to say to us that we can depend on them to raise issues that are germane to our country and to the relationship that we have with the United Kingdom in their parliament. So we have a number of matters that we are working on, but I want to publicly thank the Honorable Daniel Kaczynski and his team, because they've traveled here. They would have met in St. Kitts yesterday, and today they spent the entire day here with us on Nevis, where they met with the cabinet and with other stakeholders on the island. And they're talking about how do we do more trade with the UK, how do we break down some of the barriers to trade, how do we cement relations, how do we reignite the relationship with the United Kingdom. And I'm delighted that we've had that opportunity. I want to make special mention of our High Commissioner in London, Dr. Kevin Isaac, His Excellency Dr. Kevin Isaac, who continues to be a strong asset for St. Kitts and Nevis in the diplomatic circles, and he is well known in England, well known in the United Kingdom, and really does an excellent job on our behalf. Let me also thank our envoy, economic envoy to the UK, His Excellency Uday Nayak, who's also here. And these gentlemen would have put together this trip and put together these individuals. And I'm delighted that we had the opportunity today to engage with them, to talk about Nevis, to talk about what our priorities are, to discuss renewable energy and other priorities here like agriculture. And I think we had a very, very good meeting today. And I want to publicly thank them and to say to them that it was our honor to host them. And we look forward very much to the work of this all-party parliamentary group on behalf of the people of Nevis and St. Kitts, and of course on behalf of the United Kingdom, as we try our very best to widen and deepen our existing relations with the United Kingdom. And so I am just very pleased. They love Nevis. They had only good things to say about the country. They've had a wonderful time while they've been here, and I thought that it was fitting that I presented a gift to the Honorable Daniel Kaczynski of some local rum and some local hot sauce and some local delicacies, and I'm sure that he will enjoy those. Ladies and gentlemen, when I spoke about the daycare assistance launch and said that it was a manifesto commitment that we made, I want you to know that as a government, we would have, prior to being in government, campaigned for re-election on a manifesto. We actually published a document which said, if you, the people, gave us the opportunity to continue in government, these are some of the things that we will do. The daycare assistance is one of those things. We are now fulfilling that. We also promised that we would introduce Mandarin in our schools here as a second language. We have, through a partnership with the Republic of China, Taiwan, and our dear friend Ambassador Michael Lin on St. Kitts, we were able to get a Mandarin teacher to come from Taiwan to teach Mandarin here. I mention that because some of us may not even be aware that our young children are being exposed to this new language here. Since I was a boy in school, and that was a very long time ago, we all had French and Spanish, but we didn't have any other languages that were being taught. Mandarin, of course, is spoken by over 1 billion people the world over. And China and Taiwan being important trading partners, it is important that we equip our people that they can engage in that language where necessary. And so we embarked on this very ambitious pilot project. And I believe that we remain the only island in the OECS that is offering Mandarin now in our schools. The reason that I mention it is because we are having this week yet another graduation of those students from Nevis who had taken Mandarin as a second official language. There's a test that is done, Mandarin as a language, and they are testing their proficiency. And so we are supposed to have a program at the MGR Park where these youngsters will obviously sing and recite and speak this language and collect their certificates, those that have been successful. I feel very, very proud of that program. You know, there's a usual noise making, a cacophony of sound and fury, as so many say that there's nothing happening on Nevis and paint the most negative picture that they can of this land that we all should love, this land that we all say we love. But they are only intent on saying all that is wrong. Nothing on Nevis is right for them. The island is a wasteland. The island is terrible. Everybody on this island is hungry and starving. It is the worst place in the world, simply because the people of Nevis did not give them the reins of power in this country, did not trust them enough to put them into office. And so everything on the island is terrible and bad, and London Bridge is falling down, and Nevis Peak is falling down. That has been their mantra. And yet, we have programs such as Mandarin in our schools, an innovation of this government, that have largely been ignored. And I am certain that some members of the public aren't even aware that these programs now exist. And that our children right here in Nevis, children from Barnes, Gut and Hanley's Road and Zion and New River, children from Brownhill and Hamilton, children from Jessops and Brickhill, that those children are now being exposed to learning, speaking, singing in Mandarin. And we will have, as I said, the second cohort of graduates from this program coming up very shortly. I feel very proud. And I feel that all of us should feel very proud. Just today, we congratulated a young lady, if I recall, I think it was a Miss Powell, who has won a scholarship to Taiwan to study. And she has to spend her first year learning Mandarin before she can move on to the actual course of study in hospitality. I extend congratulations again to her. But could you imagine if she could have applied to the university in Taiwan and said to them that I'm already proficient in Mandarin, so there's no need for me to do that first year. I can go directly into my degree program. It means that she would be done a year sooner and be back with us a year sooner. And so I think that this is a major achievement, something that we ought to be collectively proud of. And I thank certainly our dear friends in Taiwan for making this possible and for the partnership. And I thank my cabinet colleagues in seeing the wisdom of this being a part of what we are doing in terms of readying Nevis for this new world that we now inhabit. And so I'm delighted that that's the case, and I look forward very much to this new cohort of graduates from Mandarin as a second language here for the people of Nevis, particularly, as I said, the young people of Nevis. As I go back to the manifesto, one of the things that we also promised was that we would introduce coding in our schools. Now you may ask me, what is coding? C-O-D-I-N-G, coding. What is coding? And I will tell you that my understanding of it is that these are the techniques, the knowledge, the science behind the creation of computer programs and apps, as we call them, various applications, that these individuals who code are the ones who create video games and the like. And that there's a whole industry out there. In fact, there are very lucrative jobs available for those who can code and can do so well. And so we have said, listen, as part of readying this island for this new world in which we live, we must teach our children coding, and not just how to turn on a computer and use it, that's important, but also to go behind that to determine, well, how does Facebook work? How do these various applications work? How does Twitter and Instagram, how do they work? How do I create my own applications? And so I am very proud to say that in moving that process forward, we will shortly be sending a very small delegation to Estonia. Estonia, of course, is a country in Europe that has demonstrated that it is really miles ahead of many other countries in terms of its digitization of its economy, and that everything, in fact, I'm told in Estonia, the citizens have a card, and everything is on that card. Your medical records, your tax records, your driver's license, everything. And so we are not quite moving there, but we are isolating the whole issue of coding. And we have, through the assistance of the High Commission in London, and more specifically Mrs. Elsa Wilkin and Brister, who provided some information to us, we have connected with an academy in Estonia, and we will be sending a small delegation there from our education department and ministry here and IT to see how we can partner so that in the very near future we can introduce coding in our schools here in Nevis. That for me is very important, ladies and gentlemen. Again, it demonstrates a government that is forward-looking and forward-thinking. I said we introduced Mandarin, we would do it, and we have done so. Coding is something that we said we would introduce, and we are now taking the necessary steps to get the necessary personnel here through that visit to Estonia to have that done in our schools. Once that is done, it is my hope that in the foreseeable future we will have our youngsters now being able to code, to create code to support various applications, to support various computer programs, to create their own programs, and in so doing we create another dimension to the local economy. And that is what we are seeking to do. It also means that those youngsters can then go out into the wider world and find work. That with the new phenomenon, particularly since COVID, of work from home, that they can stay right here in Nevis potentially and work for large companies such as Microsoft and others that require those types of services. And so I'm very excited about this. Yet again, a campaign commitment that we have made, and one that we are proceeding to fulfill. I say these things because I think it is important that the public understands that things do not happen at once, they do not sometimes happen overnight. But with necessary diligence, with the right approach, and with continued effort, and a government that is committed to the commitments that it has made, that we are making progress. As part of that coding effort, I should also say that we are having advanced discussions with a team from the UK, and we're hopeful that they can come in, and that team wants to set up what they refer to as a prompt center here to educate our people and to engage with our people and to create a business model surrounding artificial intelligence. Now, whether we like it or not, whether we agree with it or not, there are some technologies which I believe we just have to accept will become a part of our daily lives. And artificial intelligence is one of those. It is potentially incredibly helpful, but also potentially incredibly dangerous, like many things. Fire, for example, was a wonderful invention, but fire, as great a servant as it is, could be a terrible master if it got away from you. And so we need to see how we can harness technology for the good that it can do. And artificial intelligence is with us. There are programs now such as ChatGPT that once you have these programs, you tell them what you want. You say, write a speech. You say, write an essay. You say, write a book. Write a film script. You ask them questions. You say, I have a thesis to do on this. What is the answer to that? And almost while you're speaking, ChatGPT is writing. It is an amazing feat of human innovation, what artificial intelligence has become. But there's also the dark side to it. There's also the danger associated with it. For example, you can now, using artificial intelligence, create a whole speech by Mark Brantley in his voice and using his image. Only problem, Mark Brantley never made any such speech. You can cause people to say what you want them to say. You can put out things which are called fakes. In fact, some are referring to them as deep fakes, because ordinarily you're looking at them, you can't tell that that is not so-and-so speaking. So all of a sudden you see the Prime Minister, you see the Premier, you see somebody else making a statement. Could be a very embarrassing statement, a very embarrassing situation. The only problem is it's all fake. And so one of the things we're hoping we can do is to train our population, equip our population with the tools that they can spot when there is fake material that is coming to them. That we basically are not caught behind the bus, being left behind, but we are on the bus, and as I like to say, we are even driving the bus in terms of our understanding of this technology, how it works, and what we need to look out for. Understanding something is the first step to being able to handle that something. Whether it's a problem or it's new technology, understanding it is the first step. And so we're working very closely. I was very impressed that the persons in the UK have said to me that anybody with a mobile phone can be trained. And since mobile phone penetration in this country is so high, we hope that we'll be able to launch that as well. So, Mandarin in our schools, coding in our schools, AI being rolled out and taught to our people so that they understand what artificial intelligence is and what is happening. I think that those are all real innovative moves by us as a government, and we will hear more from us in due course. We have, as a government, been seeking our very best to create more jobs on the island of Nevis. Just tonight, as I sat here, I came a few minutes early, and as I sat here, I decided that I would reach out to a colleague who is an investor that we have invited to come in, and somebody that we have been trying to get involved here with the island of Nevis in terms of investing in the island. Somebody we've been trying our very best to get to create jobs here on the island of Nevis. And so I had a conversation just very briefly with my friend, and I said to him, what is happening with a particular business that he was setting up here? And I was so pleased for him to tell me that the business has in fact opened its doors. They're still doing some training, but the business has opened its doors, and that he expects that that business will, of course, lead to the employment of a number of persons. He said that they've started small. They currently have 9 or 10 employees, but he expects that they will have a job fair shortly. And this business is called Telemed. I'm checking my phone just to make sure I have the right name. Telemed Partners, T-E-L-A-M-E-D Partners, and they are right there in the heart of Charlestown at a building there that is close to the Maud Cross Preparatory School, and they will be offering employment in a contact center support services line of work. As I said, he indicated that they've started with 9 employees, and they hope to have a job fair soon to add to that number. That would mean that we have, in just the last few months, opened the call center in Brownhill, Radius Global Solutions, and I'm told Radius is now up to about 50 employees, and this new venture, Telemed Partners in Charlestown, which is also opened, starting with 9, but as I said, their plan is to ramp up. And so I am particularly pleased because I have said every job counts, and 1 by 1, 2 by 2, 3 by 3 people are working. In fact, I have brought the job numbers from time to time to show that our job creation in Nevis has been on the upward trend for some time. In fact, there was a period when job creation in Nevis was actually outstripping, based on social security numbers, even our larger sisters in Kitts. And so we've been doing a good job here in Nevis in creating jobs. The reason why we have been so anxious to create jobs in the local economy is because we have said to our Nevisian public, everybody cannot work for government. A lot of applications we get every day. Somebody says, I need a job, I want a job with government. And we're saying that there are now alternatives that are being made available in the local economy. As the economy expands, as more jobs are created, as more businesses open their doors, as more investors come in, more and more people can find work within Nevis and within the economy here. And so we have been encouraging our people to look at these opportunities. And I've just mentioned 2, Radius in Brownhill and now Telemed, which has opened its doors in Charlestown. And those are two brand new companies coming into Nevis in the last few months. And, you know, we used to get the criticism being leveled at us, oh, they're no investors, they're no investors. When last you hear that being said? Sometimes you see it's not about responding to everything and engaging in that constant back and forth, that constant talking. Sometimes it's about just allowing your policies to work, allowing the fruits of those policies to manifest themselves. And when that is done, then people say, investors are in fact here. Look at this, look at that, look at the other. Look at what is happening. And so I am delighted that we have been able to get to that point, and I'm hopeful, ladies and gentlemen, that we can continue to add to the number of people that are here, the number of people that are working. Whether it's in the financial services sector, the banking sector, we've seen a growth there, good paying jobs there. Whether it's now in the call contact center sector, we're seeing jobs there as well, good paying jobs being created, large number of jobs being created. And we're seeing, of course, the continued expansion of our tourism sector, continued expansion of those who are engaged in allied services to the tourism sector. We're seeing a continued expansion of those in agriculture, those who are creating, growing food and then using food to do value added products. We are seeing a lot of that happening. Rum is being made here on Nevis, very good rum at that. We have windows that are being made here in Nevis. In fact, one local investor has recently told me that he's now ready to start, and I'm hopeful to get an opportunity to visit his new plant where he'll be making windows for homes here on the island of Nevis, and doing that for not just Nevis but for the Federation, and hopefully in time to export as well. We have moldings, doors, cupboards, cabinetry, galvanized for your roof. All of that is being produced here in Nevis now. Fencing wire is being produced here in Nevis. And so a lot has been happening, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm very proud of those entrepreneurs who have stepped forward, because I always say it is not just the foreign investment, it is also local people having the confidence and deciding that they too will invest. And I am delighted with the trend that I'm seeing. I believe that there is significant interest in the island, and we can tell again from the fruits that the economy is growing and that jobs are being created. The fact that you see so many non-nationals coming into Nevis is not an accident. People are not going where there's no work, where there are problems, where they can't survive. What is happening here is that persons are coming from our neighbors, neighboring Caribbean islands and elsewhere. And once they come, they say, oh, there are opportunities here, and they then call their family and friends. And people are coming in. I look, for example, at the Filipino community. We had just 1 or 2 Filipinos here. Now we have an entire group of them who have come. They are here as our nurses, they're here in hospitality sector, they're here working at persons' homes, they're here in various sectors, and we welcome them. And I say that to say that we are on the cusp of something great here on the island of Nevis, in terms of our economy, in terms of our quality of life, our standard of living, and we just need, I think, as Nevisians, to harness that and to make sure that we benefit from the growth that we are seeing. And so I'm delighted to make those announcements, and certainly to say, as I often say metaphorically, that Nevis is open for business. There's a sign at all the entry points in Nevis which says open for business. We are open for business, and we want, of course, our people to invest and to have confidence in investing. And people only invest when they have confidence in the climate and in the country, and the responsibility of creating that climate in the country is the responsibility of the government, and that is what we're seeking to do. Drive around Nevis. Don't take my word for it. Don't take my word for it. The proof of the pudding, they say, is in the eating. Drive around, look at the number of homes that are under construction, private homes. Look at the number of renovations and additions and enlargements and expansions of existing homes that's happening. I'm seeing buildings being knocked down, new buildings rising in their stead. I'm seeing buildings being gutted and new buildings being erected in their stead. There is certainly a tremendous level of activity here on the island, and I'm encouraging our people to benefit and put themselves into a position to benefit from what is happening here. It's not just the government. When you're looking at a job, you're a youngster out of school, or you're looking, maybe retired and looking something else to do, it's not just the government. There are a number of companies now that are hiring, a number of opportunities that exist. I just mentioned two, where between the two of them they probably have 60 or 65 workers already in the past few months, and we expect that that is going to grow. So be a part of that growth. I think that that is critically important. Let me just give a quick update in terms of the water taxi facility, the bypass road, the parking lot there at Wally. I'm to say that those projects are all in train. The bypass road, some preliminary works have been done. We expect to see heavy equipment moving there shortly. They have said 100 days, and we're trying to hold them to that, the contractor. And that road, of course, will be done from Pinnies all the way around to the water department there on the pump road. That's a widely used road, and it has fallen into disrepair, and so we are doing the necessary to ensure that that road is brought up to standard. We continue our work in terms of Butlers and Bath, that those roads are now nearing completion on the main thoroughfares there. The water taxi facility is almost complete. I'm told that they were painting over there, windows, doors, and all that have been in, and we will start the parking lot shortly. The parking lot is already in use, but we will of course plan a proper parking lot with proper surface and drainage, etc., and that should come very shortly. And so a number of projects are still ongoing, and we hope that we will be able to close those out this year, and then of course next year we'll be able to tackle some new projects as we move on. Now it is 20 minutes to 9. Let me just take a few minutes just to comment in passing on a situation which the public may not be aware of. The NRP, I should say the NRP, because we have two oppositions now in Nevis, of course. The NRP has been split in two. So the old NRP, let me call it that, headed by a new leader, Dr. Janice, the Honorable Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge, has engaged itself and appears to have an obsession with bad-mouthing Nevis, attacking people. That is all they do. They have a large number of radio and various programs and outlets, and they use them not for one iota of good. There is not one program that I can point to that they have where they're seeking to uplift this community. They are offering solutions for any problems. They are offering any suggestions or recommendations. They are advertising that there are jobs available. No. All of their programs are geared towards one thing: attacking people and attacking this island of Nevis. As I said, for them, Nevis is a desolate wasteland, a cesspool of everything that is wrong: disease and corruption, crime, and everything that is bad. And the only reason for that is because the people have time and time again rejected them at the polls. And so there's a level of bitterness that has now come forth. And sadly, they have some middle-aged, well, not quite middle-aged, but old-age gentlemen who appear, whether officially or unofficially, to have become the chief spokespersons for the NRP. If I were the leader of the NRP and I were serious about getting into government, my first step would be to say to some of them, go home, go sit down. You all have had your time, go home, go sit down. When election come, go out and vote. But otherwise, please hush. Because every time they open their mouths, it, to my mind, says to the people of Nevis, this level This vitriol, this venom, is what you can expect if an NRP were to get into government. And let nobody fool you. As much as some of them will say, but them then I run, them will not be the ministers. Take it from me that they are the ones who have the big say. You look at their executive, you see some of them keep being recycled, coming back in the executive. They are the ones who have the big say and will have any big say. And they are consumed with hatred. For themselves perhaps, but for everybody else around them. I was told that one individual indicated that they want to get into politics and want to get into government. You know what? To deal with people who they feel would have wronged them. Not to help the country. Not to advance Nevis. To deal with people that they felt would have wronged them. And so one particular individual from this group of old people who keep going on radio and on any avenue to bash, to belittle, to attack with this level of vitriol and venom as if they're at war with somebody, keeps going at all of us. Now I have developed a particular posture. I know the court, I'm a trained lawyer, and I have heard some of the comments made. I'll be honest, ladies and gentlemen, I've looked at some of the people making some of the comments. And I said, yes, those comments are actionable. But when I look at the people who are making the comments, to say that they're men of straw would be putting it too highly. Because straw at least has some value. They are men of ear. Ear. They have not one thing to show for the lives that they've led. And I said they're old men now. Not one thing to show. And so you look at it and you say, why is it even worthwhile? Because they have nothing. So even if you were to sue them, what you going to collect? But you say, not everybody is the same. And not everybody's patience is the same. And when you keep going after people and attacking people with falsehoods, with malice, it gets to a point where somebody's going to say enough is enough. The latest attack they've launched is against my brother, Alexis Jeffers. Now I worked with Alexis Jeffers. We joined CCM the same time. We fought in opposition to bring this party back to government under the leadership of Vance Emery. We fought and got back into government in 2013. And we have worked together. I don't need to sit here tonight to give the resume of Alexis Jeffers, because a lot of us benefit from the work that he has done all across this island. And perhaps some of us forget. But whether it's in housing, the Newcastle station, the water taxi pier that everybody uses every day and takes for granted, it didn't happen just like that. It was Alexis. The Indian Castle Fruit Orchard, the explosion in terms of agriculture on this island and food security, the poultry industry we are now talking about. Alexis, 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 Alexis. And as his colleague and later his premier, I have never had occasion to question his integrity. Never. Yet you find that there's these individuals who continue to just make up stories. And on the basis of the stories they would have made up, they then launch their attack. So you would hear them say things like, I'm hearing that this is the position. When you hear them say I'm hearing, that is usually means they not hear nothing. They're making it up. I'm hearing that this is the position on the basis of I'm hearing. What they're hearing then becomes a fact, and on that fact they concoct a whole narrative. And so Alexis Jeffers was subjected to the most vicious attack that he was involved in some clearing of lands and money pocketed and stealing and all manner of things were said. And Alexis called me and he said, Prim, enough is enough. And so tonight, as I sit here, I'm advised that one of these old, nothing to offer commentators, a man of ear, Kelvin Daly, that he was today served by the bailiff with a letter before action, and that the Honorable Alexis Jeffers has decided that enough is enough, and that whether they have ear or straw, or they have nothing at all, that he will seek judgment and damages against these individuals for the constant vicious effort and lies to malign his good name. And I support him 100%. Matter of fact, I said to him, if I can leave the Premier's office, put on my gown and come in the court and argue the case, because I think he has a slam dunk case. And that is the problem. You know, someone said to me some time ago that when you hear some of them talking and they keep coming right up to the edge, right up to the edge, sometimes they even cross the line, but he said you leave them, and they keep hitting you, you leave them, they keep hitting you, you leave them, and they get bold and bold until you turn around and give them a hard slap and then they jump. Well, it looks like it is slapping season now. And somebody is going to have to pay the piper. And I'm telling you, I am not sorry for them. Because you keep over and over saying, let us lift the discourse. Let us stop the lying. What is the need? Oh, Brownhill School infested with bats. Lie. Oh, Brownhill School closed down because of cockroach infestation. Lie. You just keep lying and lying and lying. For what reason? Oh, $1.3 million spent to clear land. Lie. And you just keep doing it over and over. And the thing that I find puzzling, these are the people, these old men, who in my view at this stage of their lives should be looking for Jesus. On radio every day, as the principal spokespersons for the Nevis Reformation Party. You don't even hear the leader of the party, because we know that she goes into hibernation every month. She comes out once a month, she says something, then she goes back to sleep. So we're not hearing anything from her. The people of St. James over there are saying, where is this woman? She came and however she managed, she was elected. But where is she now? Nobody can find her. So she is silent, she's absent. And these miscreants are the ones who are leading the charge. Well, how are you going to lead the charge and say you want change and you want a new government, but you lead that charge based on a tissue of lies and misrepresentations? That you make up stories, you go to sleep tonight and you wake up in the morning and say, let me see what I can make up today to create some controversy. You attack every institution here, the Bank of Nevis International, Hamilton Reserve Bank, MSR Media, the ministers of government. Now when you attack Bank of Nevis, what happened to the 40, 50, 60 people that work down there? Do you realize you're attacking them too? When you lie and you say that Ivor Walters is infested with cockroaches, well, isn't that a reflection on the leadership and the teachers and the staff and the parents at Ivor Walters? And this is the thing that just keeps happening here on the island. And then when they tell these lies, others jump on as if they're robots and start to say, oh, it's true, they thief the money, they this, they that. And the lie spreads. In fact, I heard this same gentleman, who will now be under the clock very soon, go on radio and say that, oh, he put up this thing about this corruption, and a lot of people, wide cross-section of people are viewing it. And I say, that's good. More people see it. the bigger the damages are going to be. And so he could say what he likes, but I'm telling you, I've spent a lot of time inside the courtroom, and I believe I know a good case when I see it. And I believe that this individual has finally crossed the line, and that somebody has finally decided that while he has nothing, and we know that he has been a failure all his life, that it is time to pay the piper. They say who don't pay doctor pay lawyer, and they say who can't hear will feel. Well, it is, as I said, feeling season now. It is slapping season now. And when you keep going at people and going at people, not on policy, not on legitimate issues, but keep attacking them, keep making up falsehoods about them, keep seeking to impugn their character and their integrity, at some point, somebody will say, enough is enough. And we will therefore say no more on that, except that where there are updates, I will bring those updates to you, because I anticipate that substantial damages, I would expect in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, should be made available in this case. I suppose the next step they're going to take is to go back to start to cuss the court and the judges and say all of them corrupt and all of them this and that, because nobody is prepared to say we are in fact the problem. People ask the reason all the time why NRP keep losing, and I tell you, just watch them, you see why. All of them vex, all of them angry, bitter. Vitriol and venom is what they bring to the table, not ideas, not how we can uplift the country. They're not interested in that. And when they tired cuss us, they turn and clear on and cuss their own. That's what they do. Cuss, 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 cuss. You think you can build a country with cussing? The last election, NRP did not even bother to publish a manifesto. They said, listen, cuss, cuss Mark, cuss Zoo, cuss, cuss, cuss. Get rid of them. That was their manifesto. You see how tonight I could come and tell you we committed to daycare, we committed to coding, we committed to various things, and we're doing them? They can't tell you that because they never commit to nothing. Their thing is venom. Don't take my word for it. Just listen to them. Listen to the tone. Listen to the anger. And you ask yourself, why are they so angry? And you know what the answer is? Because they can't get their hand on the government treasury. They can't get their hand on your taxpayers' money. That is why they're so angry. And absent their hand on the treasury, absent their snouts in the trough, they have nothing else that they could point to. Nothing. Most of them not working, and they're not looking for any work. Most of them have no business. They have never owned anything. They are 100% dependent on government, and therefore 100% dependent on government, their party being in government, because then they become big shots here again. Then they drive big car and live in big house and eat because of whatever they feel they can get in government. Outside government, they are just bitter, venomous, jealous, and are prepared to attack anybody. Don't take my word for it. Listen to them. Listen to the anger. Listen to the vitriol. And then look at them and examine them. And ask yourself, but what real contribution could these people who are now in the late autumn of their years, what contribution can they really make? What has their life's work been that suggests that they have something to offer? You think you can cuss your way out of COVID? You think cussing is going to grow the economy or create even one job? Cussing is something that all of us can do. But what value is it in terms of building Nevis? And so I just wanted to say those few words because Alexis Jeffers has my 100% support. He's hired the best law firm available. And I believe that there will be some wailing and gnashing of teeth, because we could say what we want out here, We could posture as much as we want. But when you go in there and you say, my Lord, this is the case, then that is where we held to pay the priest. So all who want to talk, let them talk. But Zook Jeffers, praise and honor to you. I hope that you take this to the hilt, and that at some point, even if we enjoy a drink on the basis of air, because Lord, when you look at the martel, I don't feel sorry for him. Sorry for him, 2 old shoe on his foot and going around. Talk, got not a thing to show for a lifetime spent. Nothing. But at the end of the day, you keep attacking people. You keep going at people. At some point, somebody's going to say enough is enough. And that is it. Enough is enough. It is 2 minutes to 9. I'm going to open the phones now. 869-469-1616. 869-469-1700. Those are the numbers to call if you would like to be a part of the show. And so we open the lines now and we ask you to call. I've been talking for an hour. I'm now host, so I'm turning the show over to callers. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Good evening, Michelle.
Oh my goodness, you're back. How are you?
Oh, I'm wonderful, wonderful.
What do you have for me tonight?
Sympathies going out to my 2 nephews on the passing of their auntie, Seneca Diaz. She is my friend, Mark, I'm telling you.
Beautiful lady, beautiful lady.
Very, very. She's every morning, man, she touch one another with a prayer. And I realized I haven't told her until I asked, and they told me. So what can I do? I put her in God's hands. What a wonderful vacation I had. I did not know I would ever come back. How wonderful it was. Good night to my family, Jimmy and nephew over there in Canada. Joshua 1 and verse 7. Only be thou strong and very courageous, that thou mayest observe to do according to all the law which Moses my servant commanded thee. Turn not from it to the right hand or to the left, that thou mayest prosper whithersoever thou goest. The Sheriff, good night. I love you.
Good night, and I love you too. And you had a wonderful holiday. And what I said, you called me from every stop you made. So I'm very happy.
I believe that.
Very happy. And thank God for you. Thank God for your wonderful family and the holiday that you had. And I hope you're back now and rested. Okay?
All right.
Take care, my dear. Take care. It is 9 o'clock, and we're taking your calls. 869-469-1616. 869-469-1700. Good evening. You're on the mark.
Good evening, Mr. Brantley. Carmen.
Yes, Carmen. How are you?
I'm not too bad, Mr. Brantley. I'm not too bad.
Yes.
I'm calling for since July the 17th to the 17th of August. Mr. Hanley sent here the 17th of July. He told me that they will pay me until I reach the age of 62 years old. And up to now, I don't have a red cent from Mr. Hanley. And I don't have no money to pay my bills. Nah, nothing. Let me not have to be the panic end to cut now. I don't have nobody to just so give me a change now again. And Miss Bain and Mr. Hanley cut up as a Sunday. They're going to give a major on the job. They give a foreigner the job to do the work. And I don't have a job. I need a job to work, Mr. Brantley. All the money I have saved is finished now. I don't have a next cent to pay my bill and nothing. Thanks for a pleasant good night. Hold on, Mr. Brantley.
Yes.
Good night, Mr. Brantley.
Good night, good night.
My name is Just Love Robbie, Cameron's one daughter, right?
Yes.
Last year, right? My son's father died, right? His sister come from America. His sister named Caroline Duncan. She had me child up and down on the street, walking like he ain't good, right? Then she went, she forged me upon a piece of paper, said I give the child to her. She carried the paper to Cleon Simmons and she stamped it. They came up to Social Security building and they came to the police. The other day now, I called my son. She come back here. She went up by my son's brother, take him up without my permission. I went to the police about the same matter. I see we a week sent me to Mr. Myers, Inspector Myers. Inspector Myers had told me to go home, sit down, drink water, and go and get the next child.
Okay. Thank you both for the call.
Okay.
You both have raised some matters in relation to any monies that are owed, Carmen. I will have a necessary conversation with Mr. Hanley to determine what that's about, so you should hear from me tomorrow. In relation to the matters that are being raised by your daughter, I can't address those because that seems to me to be some dispute in terms of family dispute. I would suggest that you have a lawyer look at the matter for you to determine what's the best advice they can give you in relation to your child. But that's not something that I could resolve on radio. So thank you for bringing it to my attention, but I believe that the best way for you to approach that is with a lawyer. In relation to the first matter, as I said, Carmen, I will try to call you tomorrow, okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right. God bless you. Thank you very much for the call.
Thank you.
It is 4 minutes past the hour of 9 o'clock, and we're taking your calls. 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. And I want persons to call in, please. Tired of talking to myself, and so I am calling on the public to call because I know some are texting and telling me that they have some issues. Well, don't text me about it. Call in, let's talk about it. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Hello, good evening, my premier. How are you?
I am well, thank you. Good evening to you. How are you?
I'm very well.
Yes.
I want to say congratulations to all the ladies that got promoted into head teachers and the deputy head teacher in the education system, especially my friend Catherine Wilkerson. I'm so happy for her.
Well, I think that this is actually a great thing because, you know, a lot of talk about women empowerment and all of that, but this is proof that women are being put in position, and not just women, but young women are being put in position, and they have time now to grow and to develop. Somebody said to me, caller, oh, you know, these people don't have any experience. And my response was, well, how are they supposed to get experience? You have to give people an opportunity. And so I am quite proud of them as well.
Yes, I am very proud. I am so proud to see all these young ladies. Anyway, you have an enjoyable night, and this is Nana. I love you plenty, plenty, plenty.
I love you too, cuz. Take good care, all right? Okay, we're taking your calls. 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark. Hello?
Hello?
You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Mr. Brantley?
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Brantley, this is Stocky, Fitzroy Williams. I'm calling, it's that time of year again. I'm calling to remind our supporters and friends of our annual banquet this year. It's unusually early this year because there were some scheduling issues with the venue. It's on September 16th. It's usually later in the month. It's at the same location. It's at the same location at the Barton Crosswind at Greenbelt, Maryland. Admission is 110. Well, the early bird was 110. That ended on August 20th, and I asked for forgiveness because I should have called in earlier. So it's now 125. Tickets, as usual, can be found at nevdc.org. This year we're having, as usual, the Image Band, and Hollywood, the current cultural and calypso king, will be entertaining us. This year, the theme this year is a cultural journey through a dining experience. And our honorees would be Llewellyn Sunshine Keynes of Sunshines, Cleo Hanley Walters at the Old House Cafe, and Randy Jeffers of the Lime Beach Bar.
All right. Could yes, I'm listening to you. I'm allowing you an opportunity to say all you need to say, but could you remind us of the venue, the address?
The venue is Martin's Crosswind at 7400 Greenway Center Drive in Greenbelt, Maryland.
And this is in Maryland, okay. And the cost?
The cost right now would be $125.
$125.
Yeah, and that includes the event at the evening, and also the next day. This is pretty much a 2-day affair. On the second day, there'll be a favorite, pretty much a favorite of most people, a luncheon at the usual location at Dr. Daniel's residence.
So you say the usual location, but for those of us who don't know the usual, can you give the information? What if I'm a first-time attendee?
It's at Dr. Daniel's residence. We'll give the address at the event.
So the $125 price tag covers the event that night and a luncheon the following day.
Yes, brunch. A brunch.
Brunch. Okay.
Yeah.
And the honorees again are?
The honorees are Sunshine, Llewellyn Sunshine Kings of Sunshine Beach Bar. Cleo Hanley of Old House Cafe, and Randy Jeffers at Lime Beach Bar.
Okay, excellent. All right.
And let me just a reminder again, it's on September 16th. We usually have it closer to the end of the month, but it's on September 16th this year.
Now tell me, how does one get tickets?
nev-dc.org. www.nevdc.org. There's a dash between Nev and DC.
Okay, so www.nev-dc.org.
Yeah.
And you order online. What for those who just want to call somebody and get a ticket? Can that be done?
No.
Okay, so you have to buy your tickets online.
We don't have. We don't have physical tickets.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Do you allow anybody to pay at the venue or no?
We don't encourage that, Mr. Brantley, because what happens is when you buy your ticket online, it aids in our planning. We can absorb some coming there, but we really discourage it, because then we have to scramble to find seats for people we didn't expect, because we pay by the plate, based on how many people are coming.
Right.
Yeah, we can absorb 5, 6 people coming, because sometimes people buy tickets and don't show up.
Yes. So you would map out your tables and all that based on your ticket sales. That's why you prefer that people buy in advance.
Yeah. And we take it down. We know people are going to buy the last week, but on the night before, for example, you think they should have most things down, and we leave some extra seats, but we don't want to have 40 and 50 people coming on the night thinking, oh yeah, I'm gonna buy it at the event. That's gonna be chaos.
Remind us, Stocky, because a lot of people are listening. Why should we support NEVDC? What is some of the work that NEVDC has been doing?
Well, NEVDC has been, over the years, there's barely been a year where NEVDC has not given something back to the community leaders. Ever since 2011, every year NEVDC has provided just the basic point. Every year since 2011, NEVDC has provided all the tassels to all of the students in need. I think the first 2 years we weren't providing for the private school, and the private school requested, and we started sending to every school in it, every elementary school, right, every private school. That's been going on since probably 2010, without fail. One of our most important ventures right now is the Naomi Daniel scholarship, where every year at the graduation of each school, we, along with the help of the school, pick the student who has made the most improvement between grade 5 and 6. And Mr. Brantley, this is very important. The student who's the best will always be encouraged, but it's to encourage those students who may not be doing very well.
Yes.
To tell them, even if you're in last place in 5th grade, you can be up on the stage in 6th grade, because you might go to last to the middle, but that's an improvement. That's at least one student who has put his or her head down and did better that year. that's why we try to make a difference in that way. And those students are encouraged, and they're given an award at the end of the year. And by the way, that's based on available funds. So we're always in search of donations to enhance that scholarship fund. This is an all year thing. So yeah, before that we were sponsoring a school in the junior pageant.
Mm-hmm.
I think we did that for 2 or 3 years. But since the unfortunate passing of Naomi, we decided to shift. She was a member of our organization. We decided to shift to a scholarship fund in her name. So that's been our thing. I mean, there hasn't been a year where NEVDC has not given back to it. Even in the years when, Venus is always given. So if you have a kid who's graduated primary school in the last 10, 11 years, we've touched that kid.
Well, Stocky, thank you very much for that. I think the reminder, I asked you to do that because I think it's important, but the reminder is good.
It is.
For those who may not know what you're doing and figure you're only having just a get-together. It's a get-together where the proceeds are put to excellent use to help people right here in Nevis. And so thank you very much for the call. I wish your event every success.
Thank you very much, sir.
All right. Take good care.
All right.
It is 9:15 o'clock. We're taking your calls. 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. While Stocky was talking to me about the NFDC function, I went on the live and the NRP posse is out and jiggy. Thank them very much for being a part of the program. They always listen. They always tune in, and I'm happy that they're there. They're commentators. Some of the comments are quite interesting. They seem to have taken offense with me pointing out that they have these old men on radio making noise for them, and one of them pointed out that I too was an old man. I accept that my beard is now gray, but as old as I am, I would remind you that those that you're saying are the future for Nevis are much older than I am. So it's going to be an interesting analysis that you have to undertake to persuade the people of Nevis that somehow somebody who is already past 60 is the future, but I am too old. So that is rather interesting. But I think that these are important times. We have important discussions to be had, and we're going to go right back to the phones and take some more calls. Have we lost that caller? Caller, please call back in. 869-469-1616, 869-469-1700. I was actually about to take the call when you hung up, and so I asked you to call back in. But those are the numbers to call, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to be a part of the show. We're having a good show tonight. I think a lot of meat is on the table, and persons are calling in and sharing their own views and perspectives. Let me go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Yeah, good night, Mr. Mark.
Yes, good evening to you.
I need some kids on the breast flag. You all donate any? Oh, you know they are already calling up, right?
Yes?
Yeah, looking for a flag to wave.
You're looking for a flag to wave?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So where could I one if you all donate any?
I'm sure during Independence, as it come up, we're putting things together. So let me find. Maybe you can call me tomorrow. And let me see.
Number?
Let me see what I can find. My number is 662-6003.
I hope you answer me, you know.
Well, if you're calling,
because I just call that number, you do answer.
If you're calling, I'm not answering. It means I don't have your number in my phone. So send me a WhatsApp.
Okay, well, you have seen the number will show up definitely because I want a big flag to wave.
Well, you could send me a WhatsApp message then. I have WhatsApp on that phone. You say you want a big flag to wave?
Yeah, I want to cricket now when I think it's anniversary.
Who you went cricket to support?
You know who talking there to you, right?
I know who talking. Who you went cricket to support? Trinidad or St. Kitts Nevis?
Well, one you went to Guyana. And you see me, we thought me if you watch that, you see me. Anyway.
Yes.
I need a flag.
Alright, brother. As I said.
You come over here to dress up.
Hello?
I hear someone dress up for independence or whatever.
Yeah. We're doing all of that.
Yeah, so we need a flag to dress up too.
Okay. Alright. Excellent.
Wonderful.
Take care, brother. Send me a WhatsApp tomorrow. God bless.
That's right.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we're taking your calls. Let's go straight back to the phones and say good evening. You're on the mark.
Eternal greetings and love, blessed night, brother.
Yes, good evening.
How your night going?
All is going well. Thank you very much.
We give thanks for life and to your listeners via radio and internet. I would like to just imply something that is very factual and was a farmer law that was discussed for 2 days in the Isles of St. Kitts and Nevis, and it was on the concept of mental health. And I hope that you all was able to get informed about what was taken in the dialogue of that 2 days. So this is something that is vital for our people in the society, and we are calling that the legislative aspect of it go in a full effect, but we need consultation to guide the initiative towards in protecting our people who go through those kind of phases, and even disability, because even though we have ratified the disability movement, we still ain't fully have applied a lot of things that need to support these people while in these stages and in these positions. So these are instrumental factors that have been discussed in that 2 days session that take part in St. Kitts and Nevis, and then it was still formulated to the final of it in the Marriott, where we had some good proposals discussed in those sectors that was representative, because I myself get invited from the Rastafari aspect, and I was being thankful to be there. So I say tonight to your brother Premier, I hope you get some information to that, so the full sector of Nevis and St. Kitts can understand how we can safeguard the people who are safe facing these kind of troubles that they call as mental challenge.
All right. Okay, thank you very much. And you raise a very important point. We have, for a long time, persons with mental challenges have been stigmatized. And there has been this notion that we ought to hide it, or something is wrong with us. Mental health is part of our overall health. And just how we have events to promote our physical health, we tell people to control what they eat, exercise, try to cut down on their weight, and alcohol consumption, be careful what we imbibe. All of these things are important. So too in terms of mental health, because you can have a healthy body, but if your mental health isn't right, then you're not a healthy person. So the two go hand in hand, and mental health is part of general health, and so we have really been promoting that quite a bit, and to remove the stigma as well, so that people who need assistance in terms of mental health are willing to come forward. That, I think, is very important. Another area, of course, is persons with disabilities. That too is also important, and so we need, as we grow and develop as a society, to become more inclusive, to create space for everyone to play their part and make their contribution. And I think that we are on the right track in that regard. So thank you very much, caller. I think you've raised an important issue and pointed to some of the work that is already ongoing in this area. We are taking your calls. 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. Those are the numbers to call as we try our very best to get through the next 40 minutes or so with you and raising the issues that you may have to put on the table. I recognize that my comments about the potential lawsuit by the Honorable Alexis Jeffers, it seems to be creating a bit of a stir, but that's okay. If you keep troubling people at some point, I like to say, my old Aunt Elise, bless her heart, used to say, don't trouble trouble. Don't trouble trouble if trouble don't trouble you. Divisions, I believe, would understand that. Don't trouble trouble if trouble doesn't trouble you. Leave people alone. There's some out there who keep attacking people and attacking people. At some point, those people are going to say enough is enough. And I keep wondering why we expend so much energy attacking people. Deal with the issues. There are lots of issues out there, Deal with those issues. Talk about infrastructure that needs to be developed. Talk about education. Talk about the health sector. Deal with the issues. But the personal attacks and the venom and vitriol that they keep bringing to the table. Divisions hear it. Set of vexed people, angry people. Who want angry people to be in charge of Nevis? When a man angry, If he's so vexed and you're not gonna power, imagine if he gets some power. What, he gonna kill you? Huh? He gonna take your land as they did take people land and pay them. That's what's gonna happen. We need to recognize what is happening here and that these people need anger management. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark. Hello? Caller, are you there? That caller doesn't seem to be there. We have another caller. Let's see, that other caller is there. Good evening, you're on the mark. Okay, that caller we've lost as well. So callers, please call in 869-469-1616 and 1700. But going back to this venom and this desire to destroy people personally, to go after people in terms of their reputation, to make up stories about people, I believe it needs to stop. Let me go again to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Hey, good evening, my Premier out of Nevis, my Premier.
Good evening, brother. How are you?
Good. Out of St. Croix, man. I just want to call to wish you all the blessing on your anniversary. I think I see a week ago.
Yes, thank you.
On your blessing, man. And continue your journey. Well, I could tell you, I don't mind today of 9 years of life, of marriage.
Wow.
9 years today.
9 years, congratulations.
Up to the August 30th. So I just want to wish you all the best, and you continue doing for the Nevis. And I want to say my condolences to the Brownie out of Brown Hill, and the family them out of Brown Hill, which is the Thompson, which is the Libod, which is, you know, the family live in St. John's, and I want to wish my condolences to them as well at the passing of their family, which is the Thompson and the Libod them.
Thank you for that, Eddie.
You continue your journey, which is always going to be my premier for Nevis until you retire. So let it eat the heart out.
Thank you very much for that. I really, really appreciate it, my brother.
We don't put together, so me and nothing against you. So one vex dead. Use my premier for life.
All right, brother. And congratulations on your anniversary.
Thank you.
All right, my brother. Take good care.
Yes, and continue your journey where you always do, and continue do for Nevis as well. So
how are things in St. Croix before you go?
Okay, well, over here right now, in the past couple of days, we were like fire. When I mean fire, the sun is very hot.
Yeah.
I run out of sun. So hear me run. I'm a black man, and me run out of sun. So if a black man run out of sun, that means picture a white man.
Yeah,
he don't blister.
Well, the sun over here too, the heat is really, really on, you know?
Yeah, man. 2 days, me tell a man, don't tell me come back again in the sun, man. Me have to take out 15 minutes of my time to relax because the heat was on and cry, man.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Anyway,
all right.
Use my premier, continue your journey. Look forward, well, God give me health and strength for 2024. I'll be home for my 50th anniversary of Culturama.
Yes, brother. Well, we look forward to seeing you.
Big up to me, big up to the wow in them Brown Hill. Big up to my brother King Yaba as well, and not see heal them up for me. Blessing on all of them in Brown Hill. Brown Hill people, Vernon, St. Croix, big yard up with respect to my family, Sherry, and always to Sherry on she daughter anniversary, first year of anniversary to the two.
Okay, wow. Well, I didn't even know that. So congratulations to them as well.
Go in your history book now and big up Sherry, please.
All right. Okay. Take care, Addy. Bless up. All right. Well, yeah, congratulations, man. Certainly, Sherry and your daughter, CC, Corey, they're celebrating today. So Addy is telling me. So congratulations. Happy anniversary. Let's go back to the phones and take some more calls. Good evening. You're on the mark. Hello? Hello? Okay, that caller isn't answering us. Callers, please, again, 869-469-1616. When you call in, please listen to your phone, not to your radio or computer. That way you will hear me, because the radio or the computer, especially if you're listening via the internet, is a bit of a delay. So you may not hear me saying hello to you if you're listening to the computer. So please call back in. Again, 869-469-1616 and 869-469-1700. So, A lot has been happening, as I've explained, on the island, and I feel that we are moving in the right direction. There are more jobs, there are more businesses opening, there's more economic activity. I think that the government has been doing the best in difficult circumstances. We have, of course, some challenges with our wing at the hospital. We have been delayed because we are waiting for some quantity surveys that should be coming. We are hopeful that we can get that finally resolved, investing sometimes in professionals who don't deliver the work, but we continue to make best efforts. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark. Hello?
Hello, good night.
Yes, caller, could you move away from your away from your radio or computer? We're getting feedback.
Yes. So what I have to say is this.
Caller, could you move away from your radio? We're getting a feedback.
I'm going to have to move over. I'm going to have to do it again.
Okay, all right. You didn't have to hang up. You just had to move from your radio or computer. When you call in, please turn that down or turn that off, move away, and just focus to talking to me on the phone. That's very important so that you can get your viewpoint across and we have an opportunity to have a discussion. So if you can call back in, move away from your radio, then we can have that discussion. We have about a half an hour left here on the show, and we are taking your calls. Let's go straight back to the telephones. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Good evening. I would like to send anniversary greetings to my lovely, gorgeous goddaughter, Cece Leiber, and her husband, Corey. I would like to also send belated birthday greetings to Mr. Herbert, and also congratulations greeting to Crystal Jeffers of Fountain Village, the new head mistress. Tell Lisa that me say a fountain production that not Brown Hill. Have yourself a good evening, sir.
Good evening to you, and thank you very much. Somebody just sent me a message for the caller who called earlier saying they need a flag. St. Kitts flag. They say they do sell them at Rams, so you can also go there and get one. So I hope that that's accurate, that you could buy a flag at Rams. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark. Caller? No, we've lost that caller. Okay. All right. We seem to be having some issues, so we're asking callers that you be patient with us as we try to get through the last half hour or so of the show. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Good night.
Hello?
Good night.
Good night to you.
Yes. What I have to say is this. I am an elder, okay? There seems to be here in St. Kitts, especially here in Nevis, there's a lot of provocation. Provoking people for the property, right? Again, with the law, we don't seem to have proper law here. You might think so, but to my knowledge, there's no proper law here. And it's not just police either. You think about it, Mark, carefully. And if you want to know, you know who's talking. So if you want to know more, call me and I'll tell you exactly what I'm on about. There's a heck of a lot of corruption here in the Nevis. And it needs to stop. Provocation, that needs to stop. Good night.
All right, well, thank you very much. And I agree with you, provocation needs to stop. We also need to recognize that we are different people, and we must also learn to live with each other. That also is important, because nothing in life is always going to be 100% the way we want it. So we have to recognize that we are different people in the world, and you must live with your neighbor must live with you, and that you don't provoke your neighbor and your neighbor doesn't provoke you. But we can't always get everything 100% our way. So life is about give and take. And like you say, I know that you have had some challenges and some issues, but certainly it's about being able to live a happy life, and that ultimately is what it's about. Some of the things that we get provoked over are not worth it. And I'll be honest with you, the older I get, the more I realize that some of the things that we get worked up over are just not worth it. Life is just too short. And so we should try to enjoy what life we have and not worry so much and get caught up and worked up so much over some of these matters. We have food, we have shelter, we have clothes, we have health, we have God's grace and mercy. A lot of people don't have that. Let us enjoy our lives and let us try to live as one with each other. That, I think, is important. Let us go back to the phones and take some more calls. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Hello, good night.
Yes, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Oh, good night, Premier. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
I greet you well. We haven't spoken in a long while. I want to commend the new principals who have been appointed. I realize it's a lot of young women, and that's a testament that you had pointed out to the involvement of women in our society. The role that they're playing. Now, there is an issue that I want to raise because I've been listening to this matter for over 3 weeks now, and it's getting very annoying. It's in regard to, and I think the question was posed to you today at your press conference about a particular bank in Nevis called Hamilton. I don't want to say the name, but the question was posed to you. I think you know the bank I'm referring to. Yes?
Yes, go ahead.
Right. No, I'm really taken aback because I did my research on this institution and I realized that this is actually an excellent institution in terms of the role that it plays in the global space. This institution lends to multinationals, to countries and other places, and also does different work, philanthropic work throughout the wider global space. So I am taken aback. Why would people want to run a country, treat investors in this way? You cannot at the same time say there is no investment in Nevis, but you're going to now try to paint a picture as if a particular investor is not complying with certain regulations or not complying with the law. And I think it is bad because we know that how the economy in St. Kitts and Nevis is structured, it depends heavily on FDI. So I am really taken aback, and I think the perpetrators as such should stop. And I think this is in reference to the same persons who spoke on this issue of the land clearing and the accusations that they made. And I think this was really, really, really sad.
Caller, go ahead.
Outside of that, because I don't want to dwell on that, but you may want to raise on that if you wish. But the other issue is I want to commend you on the role that you have played in facilitating this Mandarin training. I don't know if you know, but I am very fluent in Spanish. And I believe a second language is very important. But why is this Mandarin important? Most of the scholarships which are now available through the Taiwanese and through other various countries, if you realize, if you have the ability to speak Mandarin, which you pointed out, that is a plus already. The other thing as well is that Mandarin, many of the students in China who want to learn English, if you already know Mandarin, you can actually gain online employment to teach these students. So this is also our young people could be coming out of high school and teaching from the comfort of their home to students who want to learn English because of their exposure to Mandarin as well. So I think that is really commendable. I want to commend you on the coding. That has been something that has been dear to my heart. I had the opportunity to speak to Prime Minister Drew on another program down here, and I emphasize the importance of that coding. If we can get our young people from the high school level onto to tertiary to get involved in coding early, you'll be frightened to know that just a basic entry level, leaving high school and doing a basic Python program, a simple coding language, you can earn an entry level $3,000 and $4,000 a month, and you can do that from the comfort of your home. So this is really game changing, and I think that young people should grab at the opportunity. And I realize you mentioned Estonia, which is very good at what they do. I'm not certain if you know in Jamaica they had tried to do the national identification system.
Yes.
And their model was taken directly from Estonia in terms of what Estonia does. So I can confirm that you're actually using one of the best in this area. But pretty much that's all I want to say, Premier, and I want to just commend you and your team and ask that you continue to do the good work, and as you always say, ignore the nice, because there's always more nice. But remember that when people benefit and people see the work, the nice is always drowned out.
All right, my brother. Thank you very much for that. You made a point about attacking investors and investment, but it's a pattern, huh?
It is.
It's a pattern because when I look at it, MSR Media came to Nevis in the height of COVID. They said they will come to create some movies. Oh, everybody laugh and whatever. But after they came, they at one point hired up to 90 people. During COVID, they hosted people over at a place called Hamilton Beach. The hotel was filled with their workers, etc. They brought stars here. We had a lot of exposure for the island from this, and it opened our eyes in terms of what we could do in terms of film. Lo and behold, they start to cuss the MSR Media people. They go, they reap up all kind of background, and they say the people are rogues and scamps and crooks, and that is the approach. The latest is Bonnie, Bank of Nevis International, and I am surprised because their party leader was a director of that bank. But I don't want to get into those things, you know, but I am surprised, but they're now, because the bank is employing people. They start to go after Hamilton Reserve Bank. They're employing people.
But that's the thing that hurts me. Right? When I look at the employment, the opportunities they send out for employment, and I realize it's a lot of young people from within Nevis who are getting the opportunity to learn, actually understand the investment realm and portfolios and understand how the business world operates. And you're going to call down an institution like this?
But you see
because you believe the directors may have... what is wrong if the investors and the government get along very well? That is what is supposed to happen.
But you see, my brother, I am not even about who getting along, because I have full confidence in our regulatory team.
Right.
What I'm saying is that these constant attacks, there is a pattern. Paradise Beach was shuttered under this government. They opened. They're now one of the top resorts in this country.
Oh, yes.
But they sided with those who wanted the expansion of Paradise Beach. They built some bungalows. They sided with those who wanted those bungalows knocked down. And they up and down saying all kinds of things. A white lady came here, Ann Bass. We had an investor who did something, was doing something, Candy Resort. And they sided with Ann Bass because Ann Bass say that this Candy Resort shouldn't happen in that location. And went to court. And I remember I had to go to court to give evidence, and they were all in the courthouse. You thought it was a press conference. They have a pattern, the NRP, of attacking any investor because, you see, they have continued with this narrative that nothing happening in Nevis. So when something does happen and there is work to be afforded to people, there are opportunities. They tell their people, oh, it's bogus, it's not good, and they go out and attack. And they have these loose cannons, as I said, these men of air. And their leader needs to tell them, go home and sit down. Go to church. They need now to go to a space where they can commune with the Lord, because they are not bringing any value. Because when you see you attack these institutions, well, who working at these institutions? It's people, you know.
Right. And you're putting their employment and
of course,
same people you want to support you.
I see them recently launch an attack on the Bank of Nevis. A Bank of Nevis was the brainchild of Sir Simeon Daniel.
I know.
the founder of NRP and the father of the current leader. But they launch an attack on Bank of Nevis. So any institution that's going to move, that's going to progress, that's going to come, and I have, you know, Carla, let me say it publicly, I have had to speak to some investors to tell them, ignore the noise. Because investors who come and feel that they're partnering with the island, when they hear some of the negatives, they start to say, oh, the island doesn't want us here.
Right.
And I'm trying to tell them, no. Let me tell you, when you look among the staff at Bank of Nevis International, a ton of them is NRP, strong NRP too. But their spokespeople are on radio and on the internet attacking where they're making a bread. You understand?
Right.
And none of them have the ability to say, as stripping this area, do I need to stop it? So it continues, but there's a pattern of behavior. At any time an investor lands in Nevis, they start to attack. Look at the airport project. A man comes to Nevis, the man is a billionaire, well known, built an amazing estate in Nevis. He comes, he says to the government, I want to partner with you, public-private partnership to develop the airport. They launch an attack on the man.
Yes, I remember, and I remember I've always said to you how important the linkages, because one of the issues now we need look at what is happening in regional travel, and the ability for Nevis to become almost what would you call a general aviation facility to cater to more smaller craft. That's very much smaller planes. But
Carla, it helps all of us if that airport can finally come back to life. Remember, they're the same ones who keep saying the airport dead. It's dead. So we are saying, fine, let us try to bring it to life. And they go after the man. They just have to hear that somebody's coming to Nevis to do something good. Look at this famous American actress came here 2 weeks ago, Nia Long.
Oh, yes, I saw the pictures. Oh, she was beautiful.
Beautiful. The lady put up a thing, you know, the lady said, my heart belongs to Nevis. She put that out on Instagram to 4.5 million followers. My heart belongs to Nevis. But NRP turn on the woman with some word. Right? Turn on the woman with some cuss. Because how dare the woman say that she enjoyed her time in Nevis. That is what is happening here. And I'm saying, I don't understand how they can't understand that people, right-thinking members of the community, are looking on. When Nia Long came and said, my heart belongs to Nevis, she didn't say her heart belonged to Mark Brantley, though. She didn't say her heart belonged to CCM. It said it belongs to Nevis, and she was commenting because of the service, the hospitality, and the beauty, and the spirit of the Division people. So it was a commendation for all of us. I just look at Jamaica and see that you had what's the name, Chris Brown, this singer,
a big show
big show in Jamaica, and all over the Jamaica media is about Chris Brown and all that Chris Brown, the attention that he's bringing to Jamaica. It's good for Jamaica.
But also your Mango Festival was well featured in Jamaica. I want to commend you to a successful Mango Festival. Because I really realized that I'm bringing that social media personality. Julie Mango is was actually one of the largest social media personalities from the Caribbean that blew up the Mango Festival all over.
Yes.
So I want to commend you on that.
Good man. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I appreciate the call.
Bye-bye.
We have 15 minutes left and we're taking your calls. 869-469-1616, 869-469-1700. Let's go straight back. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Mark, I've got to remind you again.
Yes.
Here in Nevis, people work hard for what they have. I want you to teach the youngsters and the stupid people out there. You have to work for what you want. You cannot go on people's property and believe you could fight them for what they want. Law is the law. Leave people alone. People work hard for what them got. Right? Please teach the youngsters and the stupid people around Nevis that believe that they can tread on other people. Please understand that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, I don't agree with the characterization of stupid people. People have differences, caller. I agree that people must work for what they want. And I also agree that people should not interfere with you when you have purchased your property or you have your belongings, that people should not interfere with you. But I don't think it's anything about stupid people. That's pejorative, and I don't want to associate with that. I think that people sometimes have a difference of opinion. And I go back to what I said earlier. We must all learn to live and let live with each other at peace. It's important. If we kick at every barking dog, we'll never get up the hill. I'm sure you know that, because that is a saying that we've had here from time immemorial. So we must learn to live with each other and live at peace with each other, because we will always wake up in the morning and find something. Oh, the neighbor branches over my fence, or the neighbor mango, or the neighbor dog got into my yard. There's always something. So I'm just saying that we must choose the battles that we fight, and some battles are really not worth fighting at all. We must try our very best to lead happy, contented lives, and that's important. You see me? I hear the talk about me all the time. All kind of people say all kind of thing, right? I believe there was some song. There was a lady song who said, "Chat to me back." You could chat to me back, because it really don't move me one way or the other. Because one thing I know, at night I go home by me, and they go home by them. And so once those at home are okay with me, I'm okay. And so, you know, some of these things, we get caught up with things, we get caught up, and we troubled, and we not sleep, and we blood pressure gone up, and whatever. At the end of the day, much of it is vanity. Much of it is not important. And I think that we need to learn as a community, too much high blood pressure and thing out there, we need to let some things go, because they're just not worth fighting over. Let's go back to the phones. We have 10 minutes left. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Yes, my blood pressure not going to go up,
okay.
Right?
Well, that's wonderful to hear.
My blood pressure not going to go up.
Okay.
Do what is right. And that's what I need from this government. Do what is right. There's a lot of wrongdoing. I don't show the papers. I have them. And people name right down the bottom. Right? I don't show it anything. And I can live with people.
Okay.
Well, but thief is a thief.
Okay, caller. Well, I'm happy to hear your blood pressure is not going to go up and that you can live at peace with people. So let's just work on that, okay? I don't want you to view my comments in a negative way, because they're not intended to be negative. I'm speaking generally, and I use myself as an example, that if I were to take on every stress and every little thing that is being said around, I believe I would have been crazy by now, right? There is wisdom in learning to let some things go, and that's all I'm saying. So you can take that on board or not take it on board, but I'm speaking generally and simply saying that our lives are too short, and we just need sometimes to be at peace. Let's go back to the phones and take some more calls. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Good evening, Premier.
Hello, good evening. Good evening.
I'm trying to understand what that caller is trying to explain. What is she saying? What is trying? What she's trying to say? Are you sending people out there to trouble people?
Well, I'm certainly not doing that. I'm just don't know what, you know. I know who the caller is, and the caller has had some issues. I'm not trying to minimize that.
To explain herself properly.
I don't even think those are issues for the ear, to be honest with you. But I'm simply saying that we all as a community need also to find ways to live peaceably with each other.
Exactly. Have a good evening.
All right. Thank you very much. We have 9 minutes left, and we're taking your calls. 869-469-1616, 869-469-1700. This show has been an interesting show tonight. We have been taking calls, some from the U.S., some from elsewhere. We have put some things on the table, and we're having a discussion, and I realize that online there's a lively debate going on as well. And so I thank all of those who tune in and make this show possible each Wednesday. It is a 2-hour show, as you know, from 8 to 10, and we air it here on Von Radio. It's also aired for a second time on Thursdays, starting at 1 p.m. And so we have 2 bites of the cherry, so to speak. You can hear it live from 8 to 10 and then hear the rebroadcast at 1. But let me go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Good evening, Mr. Brantley.
Yes, good evening to you.
Honorable. As former Minister of Foreign Affairs, I'd like some advice for you. If you live in a foreign land and you're legal in that land and they don't respect your rights, what's next? What move you could make to force a country to respect your rights?
Well, in terms of respecting your rights, you know, each person, each country has their rights. That could be a matter where you get your lawyer to take necessary action. So, for example, if you have a problem with some authority in that country, an agency, police.
I'm blocked from work.
You're blocked from work?
Yeah.
What do you mean you're blocked from work?
My dossiers are blocked from her work, for health, for aid, for family, too. And the crime is because I just asked Amnesty International to investigate the policy of St. Louis. And the French and the Americans have joined together to block all my dossiers here locally. You get out? I don't know what to do next. I just was asking you, but now I'm got some legal advice locally to try and rectify the problem.
Well, I think that's what you'll have to do. I've never heard of any such thing, but that's what you'll have to do. Show them whatever documentation you have, and see what can.
I've been doing that for the past 4 years now, and they have all been blocked. I could send them back right to you this year to show you. They all been blocked. You don't understand it, no? But give thanks.
All right. Okay, thank you. And you're right, I don't understand. But as I said, if you have some legal issues, then you see your lawyer and have your lawyer deal with those issues for you. I think that our people need to be aware that they have rights, and that when those rights are affected, they should go see a lawyer. A lot of our people don't go see a lawyer. They call the airwaves, they take on Facebook, they do whatever. But at the end of the day, Facebook can't solve a legal problem. Calling on the air can't solve a legal problem. You must go and have your lawyers address these matters for you. I have a similar problem where, for example, there are disputes between neighbors. You have one neighbor who doesn't take care of his or her land, has animals, pigs, has water running into your land, etc., has their land in an unkempt way, rats and rodents, and everybody calls the government. Oh, the government must do something about it. But there's a private law remedy, a private law tort called nuisance. And nuisance, the law of nuisance is very clear, that if your neighbor is using their land in such a way as to cause you injury, then they create a nuisance. You can take the matter to the court. So if your neighbor is playing their music loud every night, you can't sleep. Your neighbor has a bar and restaurant next to you going until 4 o'clock in the morning, you can't sleep. Your neighbor is running their water, their sewage, whatever, through your yard. Your neighbor has their pigs and their goat and sheep in their yard and causing damage to your property. There's a remedy in the law of nuisance. And a lot of times I feel that people just say, oh, the government needs to do this and the government needs to do that and the government needs to, but it's not really necessarily a matter for the government. If there's no government in the world can get involved in every private dispute and try to resolve it. The government will get involved if, for example, there's an issue that is causing a public health hazard. But if it's a private dispute between neighbors, you must go and see your lawyers and let your lawyers address that matter. So I think our public just needs to be more aware of what their rights are and how they can enforce their rights and what steps they can take to ensure that their rights are protected. That's very important, and our people need to do that instead of what I see sometimes of people just taking issues to the airwaves, taking issues to the social media outlets, which really in my view are unhelpful. All they end up doing is airing their private business sometimes in a public way, in ways that sometimes the public doesn't understand. I just got a message here and someone said that they wonder if some of these issues are really issues for me. And I said, well, I try to help where I can, but at the end of the day, I think our public needs to understand that they have rights, and when your rights are infringed, you must go and speak to your solicitor, to your lawyer. There are a lot of them in town. A lot of them in town. Go and find one if you don't have one and ask them to address these issues for you. I think that's the best advice that I can give for some of you who have these types of issues. We have 5 minutes left and we're taking your calls. 869-469-1616 and 1700. Just a reminder that on the 7th of September we have the launch of the Daycare Assistance Voucher Program, a program that I'm very proud of in terms of its synthesis and how now it is to be executed. I would want to commend, of course, the Honorable Janet Nisbet and her team for a very innovative way that they've approached this program, and that program will be officially launched on the 7th. I believe there's a ceremony at 5 p.m. at the Malcolm Gishard Recreational Park, and so you'll hear more of the details on how that's going to be rolled out. I'm also very proud that we have introduced a pension scheme for our non-established workers, And so our non-established workers who used to leave the public service without anything, as the old people say, leave with their two long hands, that this government has rectified that, and that persons can now be eligible to leave with something when they retire. We have, of course, introduced with that the retirement of at 62, and some people have complained about that, but we really need to have in the system persons moving on after they're 62, collecting their pension, so that room can be created for other people seeking employment and coming into the government service as well. The important thing is that we did not seek to have people go into retirement until such time as we were able to put in place this retirement benefits scheme. Now that the scheme is in place, we know that persons will not be leaving empty-handed, and persons now can look forward to some amount from the government, in addition, of course, to what they collect from Social Security. So that is very important. Again, a very proud achievement of this government. These are things that are lasting legacy items. It may not be a road, it may not be a building, but these are the types of efforts that impact people's lives and trying to make people's lives better. And in that regard, I'm incredibly proud of some of these achievements, because I believe that not enough sometimes is said about how we have functioned and how we have created these opportunities so that our people can benefit and our people can be made better off. And so I'm very proud of that, just as I'm proud of the Daycare Mandarin, coding, all of these things being introduced as we prepare Nevis for this century in which we find ourselves. It's already 23 years into this new century, and so we have to make sure that we're ready for the next 23 and the 23 after that. We have to prepare our people, and one of that is ensuring that we have the necessary framework, the necessary safety nets, the necessary infrastructure so that our people can prosper. And our people are responding positively, and I'm grateful to them for that. I hope that they continue to listen. I hope they continue to take advantage of the opportunities that are here. That for me is of critical importance. And so I thank the Nivision people. I thank them for their patience, because sometimes we don't get things done as fast as they would like. But I assure them that this government continues to work in their best interests. And this government continues to work hard to ensure that the people of Nevis and those who call Nevis home can benefit from all that is happening on this island. So when we do infrastructural development, when we do social engineering, when we do social safety nets, whatever we put in place, we're doing it to seek to make our lives better and to develop our island and our federation. So I want to thank all who called, all who were part of this show this evening, all who participated and made the show what it is, and really have made the show what it has been over the last 15 or so years. May we continue from strength to strength. May we continue to keep it locked right here and on the mark, 8 to 10 every Wednesday. And if I'm not here, usually some other host is here, but I have tried once I'm on island to be here, rain or shine, in order to ensure that we continue this very important conversation. Thank you very much for being a part of the show. I trust and hope that wherever you are, you have a wonderful evening and you have a pleasant night's rest, and that God will bless all of us, that we can wake up tomorrow to see a new day. Thank you, good night, and God bless you.
The views and opinions expressed on the preceding program were solely those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Nevis Broadcasting Company Limited or its advertisers.